Welcome to Teaching Truth. If you want to walk on water, you've got to get out of the boat. Yesterday in our reflections, we were thinking about registering our boat, asking ourselves that very poignant and challenging question, what is our boat? What are our boats? And only we can honestly and truthfully before God answer that question. Fear is the indicator of what our boats are. And today, as we continue to introduce our theme, we want to think about responding to our posture. Responding to our posture. More of that in a moment. You see, whether Peter sank or water walked simply depended on whether he focused on the storm that was swirling round about him or on Jesus and the depth of his relationship with and his trust in Jesus. Peter, once he stepped out of that boat, understood his dependence on faith much more deeply than he would had he never put his foot over the side of the boat. It was his willingness to risk failure that helped Peter to grow. Because Peter puts himself in a position physically to fail by putting his foot over the side of the boat and starting to walk on the water towards Jesus, the flip side of the coin is that he also puts himself in a position to grow. A position to fail actually is also a position to grow. Failure, insofar as God is concerned, is an indispensable and irreplaceable part of learning and of growth. Failure does not shape you. How you respond to failure will shape you. The story is told of Sir Edmund Hillary, who had made several unsuccessful attempts at scaling Mount Everest before he finally succeeded. After one attempt, he stood at the base of the giant mountain looking up towards it and shook his fist at it. "I'll defeat you yet," he said in defiance, "because you're as big as you're going to get, but I'm still growing." Every time Hillary climbed, put his foot out as it were, he failed. But every time he failed, he learned. And every time he learned, he grew and he tried again. And guess what? One day he didn't fail, because one day he reached the summit of Mount Everest. He discovered the exhilaration of standing on the summit of Mount Everest because he stepped out and stepped forward and climbed the mountain. So as we think about today responding to our posture, in the light of what I've simply shared with you, let me offer to you 4 possible responses, 4 possible postures that you can perhaps, and I can perhaps, identify with. Where are we in relation to Jesus? Are we huddled in the boat with a life jacket on and as it were, holding on to the sides? Is that where we are at? Very happy and very comfortable in our comfort zone, absolutely riveted with fear and just not prepared to step out at all? Or do we have one leg in the boat and one leg out the boat? Are we keen to go for it? Are we kind of up for it? But we still want to hold on. We're not quite sure. We want to be in a halfway house. We want the best of both worlds. Is that us? One leg in and one leg out? Or is it for you and for me a case of we're walking on the water? Hey, we're loving it. We're just so delighted to be where the action is and where Jesus is. We have perhaps taken that step and we are experiencing the exhilaration of living that purpose-driven life with Jesus. Or could it be, here's another scenario, that we're out of the boat, we've taken that step, but hey, the wind and the storm looks pretty bad and we want to get back to that boat as quickly as possible. We're thinking, hey, this seemed like a good idea at the time, but I just want to get back to that place of security and comfort. And I really don't mind if I miss out on what God has got for me. Responding to our posture. These are 4 different postures. Posture 1, huddled in the boat with a life jacket on, holding on for grim death. Posture 2, one leg in, one leg out. Not so sure which way to go. Posture 3, you've gone for it, you've done it. You're walking on the water and you're loving it. You're living the dream, as it were. Posture 4, you stepped out of the boat, but you're thinking, hey, this is a massive mistake. I want to get back to that place of comfort and that security. Well, each one of these postures are genuine postures that we may be experiencing or have experienced. And as we continue to journey through our reflections in this theme of getting out of the boat, we want to look particularly at Peter, but also at the profile of what it means to be a water walker. More of that in the days and weeks to come. But again, here's the reality, the cutting edge reality of all this. That if we want to walk on water, if we want to be where the action is and where Jesus is, we've got to step out of the boat.